I've been doing SMMA for about a year, and I went from being a pizza delivery driver to making $30K a month in one singular year. My very first month I made $8,500. Now, my name is Luke, and I'm not gonna tell that story again. If you wanna hear about my backstory, I made a video about that a couple of days ago. But what I'm here to talk about today is some of the things that they don't tell you about SMMA. Now, why should you listen to me, and why should you not listen to the tens/hundreds of other creators on YouTube that also talk about this sort of stuff? And I think why I'm a little bit more credible than them is I actually don't have a course at all, and I never will. And I'm actually not gonna even give out that much sauce on my channel. I'm strictly just doing this for the purpose of documenting myself. Now, do I have a plan for a course right now? No. May I? Maybe a few years from now? I don't see why, because I'm already making $30,000 a month. And I just started. So I'm doing what I know best, and I'm not gonna throw that all away to sell a course. So I actually know what the fuck I'm talking about here, first and foremost. So these are the three things they don't tell you about. I'm gonna do three things. The very first one, and I wrote it down here, is that leads are easy to get. Sales are hard. When I got my first client, I can remember this vividly. I started running his ads, and I had spent so much time worrying if I was going to get him leads or not. And I remember clicking post on his ad. I was sitting down at my parents' house, still living with my parents. I was doing it for free. I clicked post on his ad and legitimately was watching his screen for like an hour, just watching the analytics, because I was so excited. Like, I'm very passionate about this stuff. And he got a lead within the first hour, and I thought that I made it. I was like, wow, this is a game changer, because not only did I get him one lead right then, but I got him probably 20 leads in the very first week. So what I'm saying is, or what I'm seeing is, and this is a very common trend, is that people think when they first get into SMMA, they hear lead this, lead that, how am I gonna get leads? And it wasn't until probably a month after I got him probably 100 leads. I'd gotten this first client 100 leads. A month later, they still hadn't closed a lead. And I realized right then and there, it was like a legitimately switch in my mind. It was like, whoa, this is not a matter of can I get clients leads. It's a matter of can I get them sales. And that's when SMMA turns into this big monstrous beast of not just getting leads and marketing, but especially if you're working in small businesses, and which most people are. Most people start off in a niche with small businesses and eventually expand to bigger businesses, which is what I'm trying to do right now, because I don't want to deal with the shit. Because when you're working with smaller businesses, you realize you have to be such more of an integral part of their business and teach them more than you are marketing. So when I first started, I was doing a lot of videos, and I was scripting and all this shit about the ads. And what it quickly transitioned into was more of a consulting thing, and learning about their business and how do we implement stuff into their business based off of the leads that we can get them. Like, how can we train them to use our system correctly? Because since then, it's kind of neat to think about, but I've actually created sales positions at multiple different companies. Every business that I've worked for has hired a salesperson once they realize the amount of leads that come through. Then what I have to do is I have to train the salesperson, and it's kind of cool to think about how many jobs I've created like that. But regardless, they all ended up getting salespeople based off of my recommendation, right? Because at first they were having their wives do it. They were doing it. They're too busy. And they ended up hiring it out. But that was definitely a big, big eye-opener to me. It was like, whoa, leads actually aren't the hard part of SMMA. It's actually getting the clients to close, getting sales, because that's what matters. What matters is, can you get the clients to close? So think about that. Second thing, and this is something that I'm dealing with the repercussions of every single day, literally today. So I'll actually tell you about a call I had earlier with one of my clients. So he calls me, and I called him yesterday because he was 2 months behind on the payment, and that's a no-no. And I basically told him, like, hey man, we're gonna need the payment. And he kind of bitched me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty bad at asking the clients for payments. But I did say, hey man, like, this is getting ridiculous. The first month, you paid 2 weeks late, and now you haven't paid in 2 months. It's coming on the third month, and you've only paid for 2 months. And so he sent us a text talking about, because I mean, we've been really on his fucking ass about paying. And I'll tell you where I'm getting at this in a moment. But basically, he is now saying, oh, I shouldn't have to pay because, you know, our card wasn't working last month and the ads weren't actually running, so I shouldn't have to pay. And when you think about this logically, what he's doing is basically the same as having a Netflix subscription and writing a letter to Netflix and saying, hey Netflix, my Wi-Fi was out for 2 weeks last month. Therefore, I feel like I shouldn't have to pay for your service since I couldn't even watch it. When that's basically what he's saying to us, is like, hey man, my card wasn't working. Even though that's my problem, I don't feel like I need to pay you guys. And the moral of the story is, I didn't set proper expectations up front, because I've only been doing SMMA since October. So it's been October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June. So it hasn't even been 9 months. And this was one of my older clients. And when I used to onboard people, I didn't take a card on file. I didn't say, hey, we need a card on file and we're gonna put you on a subscription and it's gonna auto charge you. No, I was going month to month sending invoices. And now I am facing the repercussions of that. So definitely, you're gonna learn. I don't even think this is like something you should start doing. Like, this is just something you need to learn by going through it. You're gonna find that when you first start onboarding people and you're so excited, right? Maybe you don't have any clients right now, but when you get those first clients, you're so excited and you don't care. And you're like, whatever I can do to get this $3,500, to get this $5,000 a month, I will do it. And you know, once you get to like 10K, 20K, 30K, and you get used to having that much money, you start to regret not setting those expectations. So I'm not saying that what I did was technically a mistake. I think it's just the natural progression. You'll find that you need to keep setting more and more expectations. And you'll also find that it's very, very hard to go back and undo expectations that the clients already have. So once you onboard them, once you set these expectations, once you do the first month, once you do the first 2 months, your client is never going to be able to undo what they experienced in the first 2 months. So if you let them pay late and if you don't have their card on file, and then all of a sudden you say, hey, our policy has changed and we need your card on file. They'll say, no, we can't do that. Let's just do it the way we did it before. Like, we have cash flow problems. Let's just do it the way before. And you're kind of stuck there with your dit in your hand, stroking yourself. Seriously. So that's the second thing there. And the third thing that I have here is that most clients actually don't come from ads. So if you're like me, you might have joined a course that told you that you're gonna get clients. The main way you get clients is from running ads, a system on autopilot. And the reality of that is, it isn't true, but it's also not true. So the very first client I got was from an ad. It actually was from a photo ad. It was from a photo ad that had like some text on it. And I'll see if I can find it for the video. But actually, fuck that. Fuck you guys. I'll just describe it to you. And it had some text on it that was like, I'm looking for 3 business owners that want to make, that want to get more book jobs, 3 whatever. And I actually got 1 singular lead from that. It was a DM funnel, which I don't do anymore. But I got 1 lead from that, and that 1 lead ended up being my first client who referred me to all my other clients. So that 1 client I got from an ad then referred me to all my other clients. Literally all my other clients are from my first client and a referral. So I have noticed that that's also how other agencies work. And I think that that was just a surprise to me. Now, what lesson can you get out of that? I think it's very obvious, is that when you're shooting ads, when you're shooting those first ads, you only need 1 client because you get a shit ton of referrals. So I think it's less of like, oh, most of the clients come from referrals, and more like, all right, you got to think about this. I just need 1 client, and then I need to do such a good job that they actually refer me to people. And what you'll find is that if you're not a fucking weirdo and you do a good job and you go above and beyond for that first client, you'll actually get a steady flow of referrals, and then you can do that same thing for the next person, and then for the next person and the next person. And it's actually easier to close referrals than it is people from ads, which is actually very ironic, because in the marketing agency space, all you preach is stop relying on word of mouth. I mean, you hear it all the time. Hey, if you're here in San Diego, a business owner here in San Diego, stop relying on word of mouth and pay-per-click. Like, you've seen that ad before. And yeah, so it's very ironic, but you're gonna get most of your leads from referrals. And now I actually started running my own ads, and I'm gonna start ramping that up. So I'll let you know if that changes. But yeah, to sum it up, no one on here is giving you the reality like that. And if you wanna learn more, follow this channel. And don't expect a course, don't expect any crazy game, but I hope it helps. Peace.